we took a little time off and we got a little bit better. In fact, we got this. Let's do this. You've hit that perfect tee shot. You're in the middle of the fairway. You got a scoring club in your hands. How do we take advantage of it? Well, it's time for Proving It, presented by Titleist. And coming in March, the Pro V1 and Pro V1X will be in yellow, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, want to take advantage of this great drive. We've got the scoring club in our hands. So many times what happens to you is you start feeling this pressure. You get in here, you stop thinking about making this motion, you start thinking about the outcome, and you hit this shot, the club bottoms out too far behind the ball. We hit this up into the air, we pull it, we plug it in the front bunker, and we don't take advantage of the shot. Now, I want to tell you how you're going to be able to be consistent with these shots. The first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you're letting the club bottom out at or after the golf ball. How do we do that? We focus on what's going on with the upper part of our spine. What we want to have happen when we're over this shot is we want rotation. We don't want any gliding of the upper body. We don't want any of that movement. So when we get in here, what you want to feel is that this part of the body, the upper part of the spine, is going to stay pretty centered but rotate, and that's going to help us with getting this bottom of the arc in front of the golf ball. Now, let me show you what that looks like. I've got a 9-iron. That target's out there at about 145 yards here. All right, now, let's come on over to our information center and see what we get here, because I want you to pay attention to what we're going to see. First, what you're going to see is you're going to see a shot that's going to carry about 143. That's right around where I'm going to be. I may have caught that just a little bit thin, but there's a couple of numbers that you're going to see that I pay attention to. One is the ball speed. I want that ball speed to be between 105 and 108. That's how I know I'm going to get 145 out of my golf club. I'm also paying attention to my horizontal launch. I want that to be right between 22 degrees and 24 degrees. And when I achieve those two things, the ball speed and that launch angle, I'm going to get this ball to get into the 145s. And so how do we do that? That's what I was telling you before. The upper part of the spine has to be moving rotationally, no lateral motion whatsoever. So when we get in here, I want you to feel like you're going to stay pivoted right in between your feet. So the body is rotating, and then you're moving into that strike. Remember, 105 to 108 ball speed, and that launch between 22 and 24. All right, really good strike. Let's see if I got this going at my target. I kind of like the, yeah, baby. Now, let's look at our numbers. This is what we're paying attention to. 144, I got that right where I wanted to. I hit my target. You saw that. Now, let's look at my numbers again. Ball speed, 107.6. That's right in my number that I want to have. Vertical launch, 22.6. When you want to be consistent with these scoring clubs, you've got to make sure that you're paying attention to what the ball is doing, what the launch of the ball is doing. And we need to make sure that it's consistent with that. So if I'm between 105 and 108 with that between 22 and 24, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a really good outcome. Now, let's see if I can do it 3 times in a row. Pressure's on. Setting up, taking that eye right at that target. Now I'm just focusing on making sure the upper part of my spine is rotating, not sliding. We got a pretty good one here. Let's go over here and let's see what we got. Come on over here with me, Gibbsy. Let's wait for it. Let's wait for it. 145.2. Yabba dabba doo. Now, 107.2, that's right in my number. 23.2, that's right on my number. You want to improve your scoring clubs, you've got to pay attention to those two things. The focus is right here in the upper part of the spine, and as that starts to rotate and stay very stable, you'll strike the ball solidly with a consistent loft on it to get that launch that you want and get that ball speed that you want. You'll be able to take care of those scoring clubs, and that's Proving It, presented by Titleist. Our transformational tip is brought to you by Morgan Franklin. So many times you get this driver in your hands. You know how critical this is to get it into the fairway. You stand over that with your ball position right off of your left toe, and you hit that shot, and it takes off really low, and it fades over to the right-hand side, and you go, why can't I get my driver straight? Well, you know what? We got to transform that driver, and the way we're going to do it is understanding the relationship of our spine and our shoulders to the ground. When I walk through every day, my spine is perpendicular to the ground, my shoulders are parallel to the ground. What we call that is a T. Well, when you set up and you have a tee at address, you've got a problem. You put that ball up off your left foot. That's a big problem. And then you get in here, and these shoulders are parallel to the ground, and they're a little bit open. And what does that cause you to do? It causes you to take the club outside. The upper part of your spine actually tilts forward instead of moving backward. And now you start compressing the ground, create a very steep angle of attack. And what do we get? We got a shot that flights out really low and spins over to the right. So come on over here and let's take a little peek at what this is going to look like. Because what you're going to see is this golf ball is going to leave. It's probably going to carry in the neighborhood. There it is, 230. The total distance is 243. Look at the ball speed, 146. But this is really the problem. Right here, the backspin number is almost 4,000 RPMs. And you combine a lot of backspin with a launch of 9.2, and what do you get? Disaster. So here's what we're going to do. We've got to change how our spine is setting into the address position, because what we want is we're going to keep that T. That's what's going to happen, but we want that T to sit on an angle like this. The lead shoulder is going to be high, trail shoulder is going to be low, and when you draw a straight line across, you're going to see a big difference between here and here. That's what I want to have happen. So when we set into the shot, you're going to get addressed here. The shoulder line is going to go like this. You're just going to take the lead shoulder, point it up into the air. That's where the grip is going. I want to go up. And what you'll notice is when the upper part of my spine moves backward, the lower part of my spine is moving forward where my hips are. So that's what we're doing at address. Change that address position, and we're going to give ourselves a chance to launch this high. Now, I want to show you what we're going to see out of that launch. Remember, we were dealing with a launch here of 9.2. So I get set up. Now I take my shoulders and I tilt them just like this. And now when I tilt them here, now what I'm doing is I'm getting the low part of the arc to happen behind the ball. The club is now going to be moving into this strike in an upward direction. And what's going to happen is that all of a sudden this ball is going to fly up into the air. Come on up here and let's take a peek at what this looks like, because this is really what you want to pay attention to. Overall distance, again, was 242. So overall distance was 242. I flew that 251. That's fantastic. Remember, my ball speed was in the 148s. I got that up to 152.5. Really, really good. But pay attention to this. Over here, I got that thing at 3,500. I'm going to address that in a second. And my launch is at 15 degrees. So I got that 6 degrees higher. Now what we got to do is we got to take some spin out of this. We got to make sure that that ball, when it gets up into the air, it's carrying and going. How do we do that? Well, the way you're going to do that is to allow the upper body to have a little bit of glide in the backswing. And when you get a little bit of glide in the backswing, now the club is going to be able to drop into the slot, level out as it approaches in there, move a little bit in upward direction, and take some spin out. So, got to get this ball, I'm going to say 156 or north. All right, 156 or north. So I'm going to get in here. I get that address position just the way I want. I'm going to let that body have a little bit, the upper body have a little bit of glide, and then I'm going to go in there and give this a little bit of power. That's what we're going for right here. That one, not my best, but let's take a little peek at what we got. Come on up here, Gibbsy, and let's see what we got. What did I get out of my ball speed there? Did I get a little bit faster? 154, that was good. Launch angle, not so good. 11 degrees, backspin number was good, but I got to get that better. I lost that a little bit to the left, and you know what? I don't like doing that. Because what happens when I do that, when you get back there, you got to make sure that you've got that upper body moving, but you've also got to make sure that the body is rotating coming down to the strike. So we address body like this, let the upper body glide the upper part of the spine, then we're going to move into that strike, rotate out of the way, and now we're going to have ourselves a little bit of fun. So here we go. 154. I'm going 156 or north. Here we go. Okay, this one's really climbing up into the air. I hung back a little bit on that one, but let's just see what we got out of this ball speed right there, because this is going to be the number that I'm paying attention to, 153. I got to eat more Wheaties. That's what I got to do. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to understand that when you get set up, we've got to make sure that we don't let that ball position get that far off the big toe. We got to get it right off the seam of the shirt right here where the armpit is. And then what we're going to do is let the upper body glide, drive into it. Gibbsy, I got time for one more? Okay, I'm going to go for one more. Here we go. Last one, best one. Upper body's going to glide. Setup position is just the way we want. We got that little tilt with the shoulders just like that. Here we go. And that is blistered. This one had a little bit of pow-pow. That one there carries the number that I'm looking for. Rolling out a little bit. Let's see what we get. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So make that slight adjustment. All of a sudden, ball speed gets up to 159. I carry it 260. It rolls out 20. Now let's look at these numbers here. Vertical launch, 11.5. Look at that backspin number. I brought that down from the high 3,000s, even close to 4,000 to 2,100. That's what you need to pay attention to. So when you're getting over there and you've got this driver in your hand, you've got to make sure that you make that change. Let those shoulders get to the position that we're talking about. Slightly angled in an upward direction, and let that upper body get a little bit of glide to it. And as that starts to happen and you're rotating, what you'll be able to do is you'll generate a lot of club head speed. You'll hit the ball a little bit farther, take some of that spin out, launch it up into the air, and you'll start enjoying some really long tee shots. That's our transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. So you're just off the green, maybe 30 or 40 yards off the green. Your friends are telling you this is the easiest shot in golf, and yet it's the hardest shot for you. Well, you know what? It's time to solve that problem. It's time for a Footjoy Fix. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to understand that there's some things that you've been told to do that I want you to disregard. First of all, I don't want you to open up your stance. Second, I don't want you to put that ball way, way, way back in your stance. I also don't want you to lean really far forward. And I don't want you to hit down on this thing. Because when you do all this stuff, what you get is you get a ball that comes out really, really low, has an unpredictable trajectory. It also has a spin rate on it you have no idea about. So when I hit that shot there, my spin rate's at 4,900. Well, you know what? I want to be able to predict all this stuff as best as I can. Here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is make the first decision. Do I want to hit this high or do I want to hit it low? And then from there, we're going to start to understand exactly what's going on. So let's talk about the low shot. What do we have to do to hit a low shot? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to get in here close to this ball. So as I stand closer to the ball, it's going to take the angle of approach and it's going to make it a little bit steeper. So I stand in here like this. Again, stance is very, very square. Come in here. And now I hit that shot. I landed at about 30. That ball takes off and has a little bit of roll. Rolls up there maybe 6, 8 feet. Now let's look at what we get here, okay? Because this is an important thing for you to understand. First, we look at our vertical launch. We got that at about 21 degrees. The apex was 9, so I want a low shot. High shot, maybe 30 degrees is what we're thinking about. This one, 21. We land that at about 28. It rolls out almost 8 yards to 36.5. That's precisely what I wanted to try to do. And finally, what I want to pay attention to is the spin rate. That spin rate's at 5,200. Now, if I'm hitting a shot that's low and I want it to roll a little bit, well, what I need to do is make sure I have a spin rate that's under 6,000. Once that spin rate gets above 6,000, all of a sudden that's when we start getting a little bit more stopping power. Now, how do we get to where we get that stopping power? Well, the first thing that we want to do is we want to get a little bit farther from this ball. Because as we get a little bit farther from the ball, now the club is going to be moving a little bit more along the ground. And as it's moving along the ground, I'm basically going to add a little bit of loft, which is going to allow me to swing the club a little bit faster. And as I move a little bit faster with a little bit more of a glancing blow, what I'm going to end up getting is a higher spin rate. So I want to hit this shot 40 yards. Well, what I want to do is I want to, I don't know, maybe carry this about 38. Hit that shot there. Now let's see what we got. Okay, I carried it 40. It stopped at 42. But let's look at the numbers here. First of all, remember we were dealing with that apex. 19. I got a little bit higher on that, almost double. Also, on my vertical launch, I'm at 28. Remember, I was down at 21. So just by getting a little bit farther from that ball, that changed the angle of approach of the club coming into the ball, which helps to get that up into the air. And then what we got was we got a shot that flew 40 yards and only rolled out 6 feet. That's that stopping power. Why? Because my spin rate's almost at 7,000. It's at 6854. What does that mean? That means that thing is going to stop. So, how are you going to solve this problem? How are you going to be able to get this up and down? Well, what you want to do is first start with, what kind of shot do I want to hit? Do I want a low one or do I want a high one? And don't make that a club decision. Make that a decision of how far we're going to be from the ball. I want to be low, I'm standing in close. I want to be high, I'm going to be a little bit farther from it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to alter how we're going to be able to get this club coming into the ball. And as the club is coming in a little bit steeper, she's going to flight out a little bit lower. That's going to take some spin off of that, and it's going to make it roll. When we want to get a little bit higher, we're coming in here. This is all of a sudden chucking the ball up into the air, adding a little bit of spin, and helping us stop the ball. And that is a Footjoy Fix. You hear it all the time. I want to be more consistent. Boy, you've gotten more consistent. How are we going to do that? Well, it's time for a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. So here's what we're going to do. We have to be consistent with how we get into the golf ball. Our positioning of our hands on the club, our positioning of our body to the ball. That's how we get consistency in our game. That's what you need to learn. Here's how you're going to do it. First, when we hold this golf club, courtesy of this Align grip, what I'm able to do is I'm able to put my hands on this club the same way every single time. Now, what I'm paying attention to from here is making sure that the leading edge of the golf club is parallel to the inside part of my trail foot. So when I come into the shot, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that my foot and the leading edge of my club face are parallel. As I'm bouncing in here, what I'm doing is I'm feeling weight in my feet, because what I want to do is I want to be the same distance from the ball. So I get in here like this. Now I bring my lead foot up. So I go trail foot, lead foot, trail foot. So it's a dance step. It's a 1, 2, 3 dance step. So we come in, get that grip, bob into that, making sure we get the right distance, bring the lead foot up, drop the trail foot back. Now I'm in a position where I'm comfortable with my 6-iron, and now let's go ahead and hit that. Oh, this was really good. This is right at the flag. Is it the right distance? Oh, best one in my life right there, almost went in. All right, so a little bit of consistency, going a long way here. Hands on the club. When I get my hands on the club, I want the club parallel to the ground. Put the lead hand on first. That's what's going to establish the squareness of the face. Then all you're doing is sliding the trail hand up. Now I've got it square. Now I'm getting my distance to the ball. Then the lead foot and trail foot do the little dance step. Look up. Here we go. This is another really good strike. A little bit left, but a very good strike. And with a 6-iron from 180 on the green, like it a lot. So what does that mean? That means consistency for you is as simple as what you do before you move the club. It starts with getting your hands on the golf club properly. You start with the lead hand, have the shaft of the club parallel to the ground, put that lead hand on, get it the same way every single time. That's what the Align technology is all about. After you get that, now you bring the trail hand up. It's on the same, no matter whether it's a 6-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron, you have it on identical. Now you do your little dance step, and when you do that and you get the right distance from the golf ball, every single time with the club face in the right position, you're going to start to get some consistency in your game, and those scores are going to be coming down. And that's a grip tip presented by Golf Pride.